Blue shoes, blue shoes, blue shoes. Holy cow! Woo! Boys and girls, it's a Wednesday night. I don't like to say the H word. We're in the middle of the week. Uh, Especially with Ref Gina. We love Ref Gina. Uh, we are Wednesday. It's my first guest in about a week. And we are so glad to have it be Blue Shoes. Ref Gina, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing fine. What's going on?
I know I seem excited, probably over a little too excited, but you know what, Gina? Uh, we, the fans, we love ourselves some Ref Gina, and you come out to the ring, and we're like, Gina, Gina, and you give us a look. Sometimes it's like, I dig that. Sometimes it's like, would you guys shut up?
Yeah, that's very accurate.
Because we know it's supposed to be about the wrestlers, but over time, with the evolution of wrestling, the evolution of the fans have gone with it, and we love us our favorite referees, and I am so glad to have you return on Stirring the Pot. This is cool for me, and I wore a very special shirt. This is some Karen Bam Bam, the only Karen Bam Bam shirt that's out there. I felt it was very well adapted because we have a story to tell a little bit later. And I haven't seen you since that date. So, how is Ref Gina? I'm blabbing here. How is Ref Gina?
Oh, I'm good. I'm wearing a House of Pain shirt, so I do have some merch on today, which is kind of fun. Yeah, everything's going pretty well. I'd say that within the last time we spoke, which was, oh wow, like back in the spring, I think, when you were first starting these. A lot of things have happened, especially during a time where you don't think a lot of things would happen, but changes come upon me. So I've been graciously accepting opportunities, and there's some fun projects to be said, but we'll get there.
I've seen some of those fun projects, and we're definitely going to jump into that because, man, did you guys look like you had not just fun, not just a good time, an absolute amazing throwback party at Camp Leapfrog, and I can't wait to talk about that because that looked so much fun. But what I would like to kind of start off with is we haven't spoke since we had Zebra Week on STP. It's been that long, boys and girls. Holy cow. What I'd like to start with, though, is we are missing us some Ref Gina. She left us at Halloween Throwdown, if you will. And that's why I wore this beautiful shirt because Ref Gina, boys and girls, if you don't know, open your eyes, get out of your cave because Ref Gina was in the ring. She made her in-ring debut. It was a big thing. We had a blast. It was at Halloween Throwdown, Test of Strength. It was amazing. The best thing about it, it was 5 minutes away from my house.
Those are the best times, yeah.
My father absolutely loves that it's so close to our area. And shout out to Papa Kincaid. Man, did we have a good time. But we got to see Ref Gina not only in-ring debut, she tag team was the champion of the company, Karen Bam Bam, going against the biggest villain in the company per se. One Dan the Man, you're supposed to have a mystery partner. Nobody showed up to help him. Didn't surprise me none. And both yourself and Bam Bam came out on top. Kinda, if you will. Please talk to us about that evening. And where did you go? What was the big hug at the end? I got this crazy video of everybody hugging Ref Gina in the ring.
Oh, boy. So let's see. I'm trying to think of the event that happened prior to Halloween Throwdown. I think that was Lone Survivor 3. Dan got me again. And he set me up for a tombstone pile driver, but luckily Karen came in to save me. Then she announced that, hey, we're going to be teaming. And I was like, what? No, I'm like, really? Oh, you're serious? So then I had to train a little bit.
Now, I have to pause real quick. I hate to interrupt.
Sure, no problem.
Legit reaction when they announced what was going on, because sometimes you boys and girls are privy to all of the behind the scenes. Was that a legit reaction, or
Oh
I mean,
yeah, because I was just like, what is she talking about? So I think you took a really funny video of me going like, so, and that's usually the face that I make anyways, but I'm always like up for pretty much trying new things. So that was a pretty interesting experience. I remembered when I entered the ring, it was very weird because it's the same ring that I've been in for about like 3 years at that point. So I pretty much like knew every corner. I trained in that same ring. For the most part, know how to put it together. We've replaced parts on it. So it's kind of like a home for me. But when I stepped in, it seemed like a very, very different kind of place. Um, so I don't know if it's just because like we have like a new canvas with a TOS logo on it that we only put out for shows. It's very different than the training canvas that we have, or maybe it was just, I don't know, but it was very different.
I think
Yeah.
I just want to pause real quick. I think it's the mindset, Ref Gina, because you're used to going in as a ref. You know how to act. You know how to perceive yourself. You know where to stand, where not to stand, and all of these things. You're going in as an athlete, as a competitor, as an opponent against Dan the Man. I mean, I
Yeah.
think really the mindset kind of twists, that thing.
Yeah, it's really weird, like for sure. Like I remembered when I was there, I was just kind of like staring at the logo and just like seemed so different for me versus like all the other shows I've been to. But I'll move past the logo. So yeah, it was a tag match against him and a mystery partner who pretty much ended up being Richard E. Stone. Yeah, yeah. By the way, when he came in and stopped me, it was like really hard. I was like, oh my God. Um, so yeah, I was in there for just like maybe like a couple minutes. Took out all that anger that I had just for all that time. Laid it into him, but I still couldn't come up with a win because he just always has to cheat. Like it's a tale of his time, but at least I tried. You know, I do like plan to visit TOS because I relocated to Florida recently, just for personal reasons, and I don't know if I'll be moving back up at any time soon. But if we do meet again, I hope it's going to be under better circumstances and I don't get thrown into a random tag match. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting experience. I don't think that anyone could really take it away from me, even though I didn't win or Karen didn't win. And I was very happy that people, wanted to see me out. So I couldn't have asked for a better person to be in there with me. And I just like to thank Slick for at least giving me a chance because I think that's all people need at times.
Absolutely is the opportunity as they speak of in the industry, just looking for an opportunity, but you weren't looking for that opportunity, just kind of fell in one Ref Gina's lap. But they know who Ref Gina is. They know how she acts in the ring. They know that you are already, you're an athlete. You again, I stalk I follow your
All
face
of it, right?
your face page and stuff, and we see the forms that you do and whatnot that are just absolutely amazing. I love all of those pictures. I think it's just so physically. I would I would tumble just like a deck of a house of cards. But your forms are looking amazing. But it takes an athlete to do those things, so they know that you're no slouch. So to put you in the ring with some more, a little bit more training, pushing yourself hard and getting ready for the event, I, as a fan, and the rest of us, if you didn't hear us, we were 1,000% behind you and Karen Bam Bam. And my goodness. And I know I said I started where you and Bam Bam kind of came up in that tag match, but you really didn't because you got some, like you said, frustration out on Dan for once, for one good time. And I know you snuck in a little thing here when you're under the handmaid's costume, or when you
Or what did he call it? The COVID made costume or something like that. It was yeah, the exterminator costume. That one I think was actually my favorite because the handmade one I felt had more production to it. Like Joanna and I talked about it, and it definitely had more involved. Whereas that one just kind of like came up because someone asked me like, would you do it the day of? I was like, okay, cool. So, well, not like the day of, but something very similar like that. So that whole thing was really funny because I didn't think I would get into the ring on time when I ran around the side. So that one was probably my more favorite of the comeuppance that I gave him. And it finally, went into a match there. I even made a promo for the match. So that was kind of a cool experience to just, do it. Um, but yeah, I mean, like everything has already been said. It definitely was like an interesting opportunity that fell into my lap. And that's kind of how Slick kind of operates with, that's a history that I have with him. Even when I started reffing, that was just something that came into my lap and I just went with it. And I'm glad that it has worked out so well.
But it keeps you on your game, especially
Yeah.
something new, very challenging because some refs become refs so they can become wrestlers. Where
Yes.
Ref Gina is comfortable being Ref.
Mm-hmm.
She's not looking to be a character or persona as a wrestler. So I totally value what you did, stepping up, getting in there, making a great performance for the fans because we had a hell of a time. I hate to
Yeah.
reiterate or sound repetitive. That's what, going to the shows, Ref Gina. That's why we go. That's why you guys and girls go, to get away from the BS that surrounds us. We've talked
Sure.
about but man, we had a great time. And Dear Norma is coming up, and I know you've seen it on the book and
Mm-hmm.
such. The chatter is starting to come, and the card is starting to build, and the names that are debuting is just like, holy cow! TOS is really stepping it up on Dear Norma. So we're gonna have a lot of fun at the next one. But you did mention, well, we both kind of mentioned that you left this area, you went down to Florida, but
Mm-hmm.
before we get to where you're at in Florida, we had this big thing at TOS. It was this huge send off. Ref Gina, I shed a tear, my
Oh,
friend.
did you really? No, come on.
No,
That's,
no, I shit you not. I'm not kissing your ass. I speak
uh,
friend to friend. I shed a tear because I'm seeing everybody come out from the locker room at the end of the event, and I'm telling you, man, it was like, see, I talk about it. I get these little goosebumps, and your peers came out to give you such a beautiful send off. I couldn't just stand on the ground or where I was sitting at that picnic table. I went down to the back
mm-hmm.
of the room where they were doing their production and such, the sound and whatnot. And I had to stand on top of the picnic table and get more of an aerial view because doing it from a standing point took nothing what it really was, what was going on in that ring. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
show. So once I stood up, I'm like, this is absolutely perfect. And I know I'm not hugging Ref Gina with her friends, but I'd rather do this and be able to get this footage because I thought it was just simply amazing. Seeing all your peers giving you that much love. Could you tell us how it was? Because I'll never get in that ring. I'll never do what you do. It's something special that happened to a great person in Tessa Strength. Could you take us through that moment right there? Because I've been waiting to talk to you to talk about that.
Sure. I'm just also pulling up the card for Dear Norma, if you don't mind, because I want to talk about that show too.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
because I really miss being at TOS. Like I think to see how, and I mean, this will kind of like get the ball rolling here. When I debuted, that was the first major event that they've had outside of the student shows. And when I went to the first student show at the school, Slick recognized me from a different event that I was helping at, probably like PPW or something, and he invited me to try a class out. And that's the kind of environment and atmosphere that you feel there is everyone's welcome into the school as long as you do like the expectations of training with everybody else in almost the same manner. But he also really appreciated that I wanted to try a different rollout besides wrestling. Because when I trained, I was like, this sucks. I never want to do this like all the time. But some people really love it, and I respect them for it. But I just needed to take some time to figure out what worked. So when I came back to try to be a manager for Ty, he did something to his gluteus muscle, like broke his ass or something. So then he had me do some practice matches as a ref, and I never went to another school after that. And in the future, I'm not even sure if I will be, but yeah, so like I learned in that ring, and then to travel around with that ring to major shows and doing it is a very sentimental feeling. Then when I was able to wrestle in it, it felt like so proper that I was able to also do two debuts technically in different roles in that same ring that I trained in. So I think it was proper that I also got a send off. But the thing was, like, I didn't want people to think I was going to be gone forever because I'm still traveling up north to do shows, and I would like to come back for at least House Rules, or well, not House Rules, but what's the one that we have in the spring? Um, like the major ones like Lone Survivor, House Rules, and
Survivor, Fight for Your Dreams,
oh, Fight
Undeniable.
for Your Dreams. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I meant to say Fight for Your Dreams before, but yeah, Lone Survivor, something like that, as long as the schedule permits. So it was kind of weird to have people say goodbye to me. But now that I'm down here, and it really does feel like I did move away from home. I've been here for a few months, then it made sense in hindsight. But I don't want to be completely done with the company.
Because you went there with a purpose, obviously. So
right.
Like they say, you just have to do what you got to, you got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Right. And I mean, like, so going into the Dear Norma show, it's going to be such a really weird experience for me just watching it, because I never had an event at TOS ever where I just watched it ever since I debuted. I always worked in some capacity, whether it was doing the one match and then me doing some sneaky stuff that is super illegal, and I don't know how I didn't get fired for that. But looking at the card, from what I see, I know that
you've been almost fired a couple times.
Yeah, the thing with me is like,
well, suspended. I should.
Yeah, the thing with me is I always beat the odds somehow. Like I ended up wrestling. I ended up, working for a lot of companies within the few years that I've been refereeing, and even in the pandemic, and I'm still down here, it's been going up.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But the main ones are, I know that the Firm and Kowalski guys got announced today. That one I think is going to be the most interesting one to watch, because being at the school when Eli and Sammy are there, even though they're total jerks, don't get me wrong, their tenacity to want to train and get better is really going to put them on the map. And I really do believe that they will be picking up the titles, or they had the potential to do it. It's just a matter of time. So
I have to piggyback on that. I hate to interrupt. I have to piggyback because I have been at some of the honor and privilege of myself being able to go to some of the training sessions over there. And I feel the same way. Seeing those kids start, watching them start, Ref Gina, and having them see where they're at now and what they can do and what they persevered through. Just not in the ring. You have life to deal with. Seeing what they've done, starting a family and stuff like that. I totally agree with you. I can't wait to see what the future holds for those. Absolutely.
Yes. So just some context. Eli was actually maybe about 6 months to a year in before I started training. So he was a very familiar face before he debuted. I felt like watching him go from where he was to where he is, especially with how he is very particular about how he works with people in matches, like what he aims to strike and hurt. Like he really likes to hit people in the leg like a lot, and then just work that leg completely into submissions and all kinds of stuff. Like he is really grown into a craft of his own. And then of course with Sammy, watching him when he first started at the promotion that was in Cheshire, yes, yeah, thank you. Watching him go from that to TOS, where he started making more refinements, and working a lot of shows with him and seeing how he grows. Like, I think that honestly, he has like so much talent that he should be going further. It's just that, it's very difficult to do it at this point. So I'm very interested to see what the future holds for him. But when they're together, it's a very very dangerous combo. I think that even without the interference with Richard E. Stone in the last match, I know he loves pulling me out of that ring whenever it's a near 3 count. Um, I honestly think that Jay and Slick should be scared. Like it's
Wow.
they have a lot of experience and they're great people. Jay, especially for always coming down from how far he lives, like in upstate New York or something, to do these. Especially when we were first starting out with those student shows, is a very big deal.
Right.
And his loyalty to Slick is great. I know that they have definitely years of experience of being together, working under the same heritage of training of Kowalski, but under that same heritage is also the next branch down, which is Sammy and Eli, and they know every trick that they have. So that's an advantage for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, the teacher doesn't show you all the tricks, and I get all of that stuff, but
Yeah.
you make a very valid point, and I'm going to add to that by saying that the Kowalski guys have been the only tag team champions in Test of Strength, and it's been well over a year and a half. I want to say a year and a half or just beyond that mark, around
Yep.
there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that tournament, like I was there since the beginning of doing the brackets. I remember Slick even asked me, do you know some teams who are young and hungry and could, really go further into it? So, we had Middlesex Express when they were together, a congregation who has always been like a very a staple of our foundational teams. Then going on to like Ty and HVO and Dickie and Moonshine, like our TOS teams. It was a lot of different people coming in, and they managed to get on top. They won those, but I think that this is really like their biggest threat. So moving on to one of them, Vicious Vicky and Kieran Bam Bam.
Woo.
Special guest referee Dan the Man. Yeah, of course. I don't know, like Vicious Vicky I've seen only once at the Bronx Wrestling Federation. I know that you've been there as well. Uh, didn't really necessarily see her wrestle because I had other matches to do that day, but I know that her and her work seems to exceed her. She got like a tryout or something like that, so that's always a good sign. But I think Dan, of course, is going to be the factor that we have to watch out for. So
that's very evident.
This is what happens when I leave.
Yeah, this is why we can't have nice things, Gina. Just because
I know. Yeah, it's Vicky's a total jerk.
Vicky's been very active in the Goddesses of War, which is a thing. It's kind of like it's like a sister thing, little sub, if you will, promotion of Titan Championship Wrestling out of New Jersey. She's been very active over there. So if you want to look some stuff up on Vicky, that'd probably be a good start.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good suggestion. And then we have Bam Bam, who I mean, like, she's great. I wish I could say more about her, but like everyone knows how very historical her win was. She's our third champion. Bobby was her first. He didn't hold it for very long, unfortunately, and we were like stuck under Dan era forever. And when she won, it was really big. It was something that I was really hoping would happen, and it did. So I'm hoping that she holds on to it. But I'd say at this point in time, I don't really think it's a fair match just because Dan's involved, and it's really a shame because I would love to see a fairer match with Vicky and her. So may the best person win, and hopefully Alex is on top of any shenanigans that'll happen.
Yeah, we want the GM, his eyes wide open. GM, if you're listening, please, eyes wide open. And I know you don't like Danos either. And I know, he's brought in some ratings for the company. I get that. But please keep your eyes peeled because I feel one of these little sketchy counts are going to become 1, 2, 3. Kind of one of those gigs maybe coming around the corner. I don't know. You never know what Dan's got up. So.
Yeah. Just to wrap this up, the K1 is going to be a triple threat. The K1, in my opinion, is one of the most interesting titles that we have because that is described by Alex Rojas, our general manager, to be the workhorse title. So having Mike Skyros, who held on to that for a good amount of time after his win against Sammy, I believe, It's very well, actually, yeah, because that was a triple threat with Brian Pillman Jr. there as well, during the last Lone Survivor, I believe. So we're coming up on like a year basically that he's been holding on to that. And Mike, there's a lot of great things to say about him. You know, he's another one like Jay Freddy who comes down from a long distance just to do the training days, which is a big deal. He's never really missed a show, and that really is, I think that he's the most appropriate person to win that. However, Ichiban is definitely, I would say, a potential threat there. Yeah, he's really fun. I miss reffing his matches because of he only says like the two things. He's a very innovative wrestler for the things that he can do. I mean, I don't really think that there's. I was there for his debut match, and then when he had that match against Sammy, it was huge. And Mike Verna, the man of steel himself. You know, that guy. I think it's amazing that TOS was able to get him because Mike Verna is a talent who is mostly unmet to his own caliber, in my opinion. He definitely has a lot of well-rounded experience because he teams with Rex Wallace as well. He did at Chikara and he did at the most recent Beyond taping, and other places.
Closers?
I'm sorry?
Aren't they called the closers?
I think so, which is
Okay.
very confusing because I know at like PvP they also have the closers there. But speaking of, Brett Hollister also got announced to do the show too, which is awesome because I haven't really seen him in a while. I think it's really cool that he's able to you know, come to TOS. Hopefully the people who he gets put with will learn a lot from him. He's a very talented wrestler. It really sucked that he got hurt. So it's really cool. But yeah, I think that the show is definitely going to be a very strong one to come back from during the hiatus of the winter. So I'm really looking forward to looking at it. So I just wanted to go over that card because I'm excited to watch it.
Absolutely, as the fans, because there's been chatter. Let me tell you. So you didn't give us a pick for that triple threat, though.
It's hard to say because I mean, Mike, I felt has defended it well throughout that year. I think his best match was against Alec Price. Uh, it was Alec that was the last one, I think, and then he had a really good one against Max Caster too. Also, really happy that those two were able to be part of the roster. But I think Alec and Mike just meshed. They had like such a very good chemistry in that match, and that's probably the best one that they've had to date. I mean, the triple threat initially for him in the win from the last Lone Survivor was good, but I felt like Alex and Mike worked so well together. Alec is he's a handful to deal with in the ring. I definitely had that experience of doing it several times in the past, but you know, he's a very instrumental person for TOS to have and a very good competitor nonetheless. So I think that being said, Mike has yet to defend it in a triple threat. He won it in a triple threat, which is a very different type of mindset because you kind of go in thinking like, okay, I got to do it. But when you're defending, it's very different. Mike Verna, I mean, like, I don't really know what else to say about him that sums up my thoughts, except like he's just a very good competitor who is unmatched on his level. I've seen him wrestle in many, many different, like he's in Chaotic. I think he's a champion there now, actually. So, you know, he did some dark matches over at AEW. He has a lot of experience, the most experience out of all of them. So he could easily take it. And then Ichiban is like our underdog, you know. A lot of the things that he does reminds me of like Bobby Ocean back in the day when I watched him at like DPW and NEFW and things like that. So you know, he's definitely the one that you also have to keep an eye on because again, he's very sneaky. And learning like so many different variations of things that, you know, he could hit you with anything. So I don't know who's going to win that. I really don't.
Wow.
It's a very hard matchup, but it's going to be a great match. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. I did want to put in a little X factor when you were speaking of Alec Price, and you've worded all of that absolutely perfectly. But I want to put in that X factor of one, Howitson Davis the third, because man, we love seeing him getting his knocked on his booty. That is some stuff. We love that, but he adds such another.
He does. Yes, I totally agree with that. And I've worked with him at Showcase when I did a couple of shows there, and he's I think I say this a lot because I think that good managers are very hard to find nowadays because they're
Absolutely.
their involvement in matches could really be too much sometimes or not enough. And I think that someone who's a really good manager, like Smart Mark Sterling, isn't necessarily a manager because he's a wrestler, but I had a couple of matches at the last Zero One show where he was managing Alex Reynolds before he went to AEW. And he did like these things that like his awareness of what to do, like when Alex's foot was next to the rope and he just like quickly put it on. Like it's very dastardly, but it's clever. And I think that Howie definitely has a lot of potential to grow more. But yeah, it's you got to really pay attention to him too, because him and Alec, they make it a lot harder than it needs to be. So I'll definitely say that. That's definitely a good point, though.
Yes, nasty little booger.
Yep.
Man, both of them.
Both.
Yeah, I interviewed Mr. Davison, and that was a roller coaster. Let me tell you. Holy cow! Donovan Dwyer. I don't know if you know who Donovan is.
Yeah, of course.
The future, right?
Yeah.
Oh my, he's gonna kill me for asking you. Do you know who Donovan Dwyer is? He's gonna be like, "What the hell, Kincaid?" Me, myself, Donovan, Mister the Third, if you will. Lots of chatter on the book and stuff. So we have a lot of a lot of outside the ring, and I think that's a great element with the fans. If you can have that kind of interaction as well, and keep it.
Yeah.
Now, man, I know we've been talking very TOS, but there was so much to talk about, and because I haven't seen you.
Yeah, that's fine. That's my home promotion, so
Yeah,
I think it's I still believe in all the people who are there. I think that with this show coming up, with them expanding to add talent like Verna and Hollister on the card, and Vicky as well, is a testament to testimony rather to how much like people want to work for the company at this time. So it's a very interesting thing, kind of like stepping out during a time where this paradigm shift is happening. So I always very closely look. I still keep up with the people who are there to see what's happening. But we can move on from TOS if you'd like to.
Well, kind of, because I've seen this thing that you're part of, and I know you've moved.
Yes.
Camp Leapfrog.
Camp Leapfrog. Yep.
I've been waiting to dive into this. I almost started with it, but there was so much TOS to cover. Camp Leapfrog just looks like a ton of fun.
Yes.
Everybody, the announcer to the bell keeper, their timekeeper, no matter what you're doing at Camp Leapfrog, is it that much fun?
It is. It's a very inclusive place. Mostly started as a place for people to reconvene after the closing of Shikara and the Wrestle Factory, but that doesn't mean that it's a like total ex Shikara roster. There's definitely other people who have been a part of it. I was just up there actually a few days ago doing a lot of filming for IWTV, so that was Camp Leapfrog for the Valentine's Day show, Love Frog, which is going to be on the 14th. Sunday at 7. I believe you use promo code Leapfrog, you'll get 5 days off for free. So check that out, because the main event's going to be Still Life of Apricots and Pears against Effie. So that's probably like the biggest announcement that we've had on the social. Then we had the Retro Frog, which streamed on the Independent Wrestling Facebook, and that has been received pretty well. That was 1/17/1985. I wasn't a official in that one. I was just more like part of the crowd, just because I was there. And then I had to do on Friday the Cassandro Cup, which is a queer tournament for the queer community that was done in association with IWTV and Butch versus Gore. So that will be premiering sometime in March. I just saw the date got moved for some reason, I think. I'll have to get that date another time for you, but that'll be an IWTV thing. And then I can't say what it is yet because I don't really know, but I had a project for myself that I filmed for IWTV during that weekend as well. So it was a lot going on. I couldn't do the live event on that Sunday, but I was happy to be part of the crowd and kind of just enjoy wrestling as a fan. Because Leapfrog does like a lot of fun stuff, and it's just kind of hard to be a part of, that audience, and you have to like watch it back, and it's just not the same as like being there live. But yeah, it's a thing that I started becoming a part of during their Halloween special. I was supposed to do the first one, but I think like they moved dates and that made a problem with TOS. And then I was able to do the Christmas trios, which is a pretty big deal because if I was still in Chicago, I would have been able to do Tournament of Trios, but we ended up doing that instead. And I was part of the main. That was really cool. Really nice experience there.
You guys put on costumes, dressed up in different. Johnny Moran with the mustache.
Yeah, it looked really nice, didn't it? His mustache was great. I thought it was awesome.
The main event, Jay Lion, was a Chewbacca Lion, if you will.
The Midas was a Han Solo.
Yeah.
We had Matt Mikowski and Travis in wigs and doing shitty dancing. The poses. Hermit Crab was Hollywood Hermit Crab. Bones was Papa Bones. Then we had a Texas death match actually with Darius Carter and Brad Rush, who's our camp leader.
Oh, okay.
So it's a fun place because there's a bit for everybody in it, and there's like a lot of skits and like storytelling too. So it's not just fully like a wrestling event. But if you want something that's more like a wrestling event, I would say watch Christmas Trios because it's a whole tournament. So that's also on IWTV.
And boys and girls, you can. What we're talking about now is this retro show that just happened, 117. It's right on. Go on Face page. Type in Camp Leapfrog. You won't miss it. I'm telling you. Just a little bit on their things, and it's right there. The whole event is live.
Yep.
Or was live, but it's sitting there at the ready for you. Just take a look. See, I had a blast watching it live. I wasn't able to watch the entire thing in one sitting.
Yeah.
It's running, so I had to go back to it the next day. But man, a lot of fun. You guys.
Yeah. It's a very fun time there. That's a second live event that we did. The first one was at the actual campground for the slumber party, and it was definitely a very interesting project to take on because you can tell by the way that we were running things that this was a very new thing. Like we've never done a live event where we had to go inside of a house and outside to the ring. So the transitions were, in my opinion, a little bit awkward there. But the way that we did it this time around for the retro, I thought was very good. We had old school type of like interviews in between matches. Rex Lawless did the $50 body slam challenge. So there's a lot of really funny things, and it's a campy thing. But I think the next one, Love Frog, is really going to impress a lot of people, especially for that main event. But if you follow Camp Leapfrog on Twitter, all the announcements will come up.
Okay.
For now, I think they're focusing on the GCW block. So stay tuned for that.
24 hours, baby!
Yeah, 24 hours. Yeah, I was there at the New Year's show when they announced that. And I'm not going to be there because I like to sleep and be a normal person, but Camp Leapfrog got announced yesterday that they will have a block. It's going to be Saturday the 30th at 9 a.m. I'll be watching it, but you definitely want to stay tuned for the announcement tomorrow about what the block is.
Ooh,
it's going to be very interesting. I'll say that for sure.
My eyes will be peeled. I got my jammies ready because they said get your jammies ready. Saturday morning wrestling is coming.
Saturday morning wrestling, and then there's more wrestling after that, and then more wrestling because it's 24 hours. So yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, this event is just gonna be holy crap of a day. I mean, wow. So there's a couple of things I wanted to touch upon what you were speaking of. Now, what I did want to touch upon is what were you wearing? You had a little thing going on over there. You had your hair all did up.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did tease my hair. I used to do that a lot, like in college and stuff.
In your ensemble, if you will.
Yeah, they told me that I had to wear like an 80s thing, and I didn't really have much except like my Dead Kennedy shirt. So I wore shorts because that was so that day. My IWTV project, we were filming it in the morning. Then we had to get ready for the live event. So I was wearing shorts and like whatever. So I had tube socks and that. Then I teased my hair and borrowed someone's bandana. So that was the outfit. I had some Star Wars stuff just in case, but Ryan Nova, who ended up staying for the event, I gave him my jacket to let him borrow. So that ended up being a really interesting time. They did a very good job for what they did in like a live event like that, which is like probably like an hour and a half, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a fun event.
Hats off to everybody, and I'm going to jump into that real quick. Before I do that, I want to jump into what the heck was it? Anyways, we'll skip that. It'll come back to me. The whole package you guys brought together. You're talking, the slam challenge, and everything coming up with these cool little gimmicks and bringing them to the table. Was this a whole idea, like just brainstorms coming from left and right to Camp Leapfrog, or was there a nucleus around this, or how did this kind of come about? Because there was a lot of moving parts at Camp Leapfrog.
Yeah. So I will say that Chris Levin and Sam Latourna are the people who really do come up with the creative. I just help out with the marketing. So I do have like some, I guess, like office role, but often whenever I go up to, New Jersey, when I travel up there for shows and things like that, the Christmas trios taping, and then we had to do, this event, and then I was at GCW for the New Year's thing, which we could talk about if you want, because that was definitely an experience. I usually stay at his house before we go to wherever we need to go, so I'm usually assisting him during times where he has like these ideas. I don't really know how the brainstorming process goes initially. Every now and then I'll have some idea of, of a suggestion, but during the meetings that we have, I say it's a pretty open, kind of like no cubicle walls, like sort of environment, if you will. I think, especially when it comes up with the graphics and the social media campaigns and stuff like that, we think about it's pretty open-ended. And sometimes that also influences how things are booked. But this retro one, I can't really tell you like how that happened. I know in trios, I had to help them out with a couple of things just because people dropped out last minute. COVID era, it's possible. But I think like the Christmas thing kind of came up because we were going to do Halloween, and that was just a discussion between people. So why not do Christmas? Why not do Valentine's Day? And there's a lot more fun ideas that will be coming up in the future. I can't say much about it because it's not announced yet, but April is going to be a very interesting month for me in particular. So I'll say that.
I remembered what I forgot. You've talked about this project that you can't talk about. You whisper it right in my ear. I won't tell anybody. Just
sure. Wait for the announcement. That's the thing. No, I think it's just kind of cool that I'm able to have like a little bit more of an interesting relationship with IWTV in the way that it kind of stemmed from working at Beyond because their correlation is pretty direct with each other. And now that I'm doing more back-end stuff for Leapfrog, I get to be privy to more communication with different people.
Yeah.
So I was given an opportunity to do something. We filmed it. We'll see what happens. I'm very interested to see what the response will be, but that'll be for another time. I probably talked too much about it, to be honest, because like I'm more of a fan of like things being announced that I could talk about it, but yeah, we'll just go from there when we can.
I have one thing before we get to GCW.
Sure.
Man, oh man, was that little sitcom, the Gina Show? Holy cow! I watched it. I don't know, like 300 times. I absolutely love that.
I know everybody loves it. Jerry from IWTV thought it was like the funniest thing ever, and it started because like for some reason Chris Levin was talking to me about something, and he just decided to like make this random theme song for me by putting really weird pictures of like myself, and like my mom was like one of the pictures in there, because I take a lot of very unflattering photos in Ring. And then he posted it. Then he said, "Can you actually do a thing at the end of the Halloween taping?" And I said, "Okay." So then, myself and Hermit Crab came up with this thing. And I think, like, I don't remember how the story went, but it was either Chris or Jerry thought it was so funny that they were like, you have to release it as a separate thing online. Like, you can't, because originally it was going to be a post credits thing.
Oh, okay.
Um, but they're like, you got to post as a separate thing because it's like it's so funny. So yeah, we just kind of did that, and people want more episodes of it. But the thing is, like, I don't think I could top that. It was just like a thing that just kind of came together. And shout out to Mayday for editing it, because it definitely came out much more. It was funnier after that. And then of course, Richard Holiday did the voiceover, which was a surprise to me.
That was
I was
awesome.
like, because Chris told me, he's like, I got someone to do the voiceover. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but you're going to be very mad. And I said, okay. So I listened to it, and I couldn't quite get it until he said studio, and I was like, oh god. It's my boy Richie. Damn. So yeah, that was definitely a funny thing. I'm glad people liked it, but I can't. I don't know if I can do anything else like it. I tried writing something else to like make it, sort of the next thing, but I can't. Like, it's just, that's it.
You know what's funny about that, and I guess I'll have to kind of agree with you is, and I know it was planned, it was recorded, it was scripted, the whole thing, but it came off so kind of like regular because you've got Hermit Crab trying to do this thing, and you're just being Gina like, what the f is
I
wrong with?
know, yeah. Well, that was a one take. We never had to take it again.
That's awesome.
And Hermit Crab is just, I like working with him because he takes a moment to really like absorb what he wants to do, but when you let him go, like he does it. And I like to think that I could play off of people pretty well
Mm.
because I trained with Ty for so long, and he's just very difficult to deal with. I know he has a question he wants to ask, and if you,
Yeah.
but in any case, yeah, it was just a one-time thing that we did, and it worked out. I mean, I was laughing during it because I'm like, this is just so absurd, but
Of course.
I think it kind of added to how very authentic it was. So I'm glad that it ended up being something funny. People really liked it, and people laughed. So that's all I wanted out of it.
I as soon as I discovered it because it was on the old Twitter machine, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really on the book. I found it on your Twitter, and don't tell nobody, but I kind of scooped it. You can't just hit a little save thing
I
for.
know.
You got to find little fancy things to kind of scoop some of the media from Twitter. So I kind of scooped it from Twitter, and immediately, if not sooner, I put it right on the book.
Yeah.
And goodness, I absolutely love that thing. I have it saved forever and ever. Uh, that is a gem.
It's
That is.
definitely up there with the promo that we did with Ty and HBO. That was funny too. It's one of my favorite things. So yeah, I like coming up with funny stuff. Like when Slick asked me to do a promo for the match with Bam Bam against Dan, I thought about like doing something kind of like funny and then getting serious, but he's like, no, you need to make this like as serious as possible. I was like, oh God, I don't know how to do that. So I don't know. The comedy stuff I just am more comfortable writing, or not writing, but just doing stuff with. And then, that was a challenge in itself. That promo was harder than the match. It took like all morning to come up with something. But yeah, you want to move on to GCW, so we could do that.
What happened? What's going on there?
So GCW, the first time that I worked for them was in conjunction with Beyond. I was booked to do, 2 weeks notice. That was the first one that they did in Atlantic City. And what they did, I think, was they rented the venue out with GCW, so it was a double header. And Brett Lauderdale saw me in the locker room when we were going over the card and stuff, and asked if I could work on the show later. But I wanted to go home, so I just ended up doing one match, which was Tony Deppen against Lee Moriarty. And Lee is becoming like one of my really favorite people at this point. So GCW is an interesting place. The first full show that I did was after the Beyond one that I did after that. And that Beyond show for Wear Sunscreen was really fun. I liked doing the Kimberly and Joey Janela match in particular.
I watched the whole event. That was
Yeah.
fantastic.
I mean, there was some weirdness that happened with Solo and Pinky, but whatever. Like we kind of got through it, and it was a really weird day because that canvas is hot as hell. But then it
So
started raining, and then it got slippery. So there was no, you had to deal with one or the other. So I did that event, and then I did the GCW Jimmy Lloyd's Jersey Shore after that. I got to work with a lot of like different people, like Blake Christian, Andrew Everett. Then I had I forgot the name of their tag team, but it's Shane Mercer and Kyle the Beast. Got to work with them again. I think it's Iron Beast actually at the last one. So GCW is like it's very lax rules. Like we don't we're not required to count people out of corners or do count outs at all, or you don't even have to do anything as long as it's up to your discretion. So like when I did the ACH versus Ken Broadway match on New Year's Day, ACH is a very aggressive competitor, and he would push people up against, like, back them into rather the turnbuckles, and he would be there all day. So there were times where I had to get him off and things like that to make it more fair. So the last one that I did was the New Year's show, and then the day after was the New Year's Day show. And the New Year's show was, oh man, it was a big deal. A lot of the matches went a little bit shorter, so I think we tried to get the 6-way Star Scramble, which was Effie, Alley Cat, Cole Radrick, another great guy, Chris Dickinson, Mance Warner, and Blake Christian. They wanted to close out 2020 by time with that match, but it ended up like getting a little bit shorter. So they had that like in-ring party for a while until midnight hit, and then they did the main with G Raver against Jimmy Lloyd in death match. So there's a lot of death matches there too. It's definitely an interesting type of environment because I get to work with like more people from like the Midwest, for example. So it's always good to work with different people.
Absolutely. Like I know you said we're talking about schools, the training schools. Just even working with you as a referee, just working with other men and women, like you're saying, from different areas, from different promotions, from different arts of wrestling. Yes. There's many forms of art of wrestling. It's got to just bring your skill level. It's just got to keep going up and up and up and giving you more of that confidence,
Yeah. Well, GCW is a little bit different because, again, it's a very lax type of environment there. But on New Year's Day, when I did, it was an 8-way scramble in a small 16x6 ring, like the size that TOS has. That definitely was very challenging because I was just like, I don't know, like how I could not get in the way of people and keep track of like, who's doing what. But that ended up actually being a lot better than the 6-way, whereas in the 6-way, there was more people who were in the ring. In the 8-way scramble, there's people who are more in and out, and they tried to keep it like 2 people in the ring at once. But yeah, it's a very different type of crowd there, especially if you're working at a promotion that does like more death matches. Like I went to an ICW show down here, and I'm probably going to go to another one next month. It's a very different place. I would love to try it, but the thing is, like, I think they try to keep like one ref on the show, which makes a lot of sense, especially if you don't want to have like as many people in contact. But I would definitely need like someone else there to kind of like help me out with it. But like that's another cool promotion where I like when I was actually at that Port Richey show when they did the 60-minute Iron Man death match with Orin against John Wayne Murdoch, and that was to the minute with a 5-minute sudden death like bonus at the end. I think I like witnessed like wrestling history watching that because I've never seen anything like that done. So I think that companies like that are definitely really thriving during this time where not a lot of places are competing against, but still, like, they managed to make like really creative matches that are really cool.
I'm glad that's a good thing about this show, because when we get the talent on here and they start telling us about different promotions, we might not know of them. We get to go look them up and learn new stuff, new talent, and such. I appreciate all of the conversation with the multiple companies, because it gives us more to look at, and I totally appreciate that. Now, there, with all of the fine talent and the fine companies, you've had yourself quite the career, my friend. At this point in time, very short in your career, but I'm telling you, it's been a whirlwind following Ref Gina, from where I used to see her sitting on the side over at PAPW and giving her a quick hello. We would say hi every so often, and little by little, I boys and girls, I just don't think she got me at the beginning, because
I'd say that's accurate.
I don't even want to deal with that jackass. So it took a little bit of time of her to warm up to me, which is fine. That's okay. Not everybody, I'm not everybody's flavor. That's okay. But seeing Ref Gina at the beginning of her career and watching it blossom to where it is now, it's just been absolutely amazing. And I love this stuff, and that's why I love the independent. And I speak about this all the time. That's why I love the independent scene, because I get to do stuff like Elijah Six's very first promo. When I walk up to him at a training day and I go, "Hey man, do you mind if I do these things called the Kincaid fight?" He's like, "Yeah, man, I know it." And I go, "Would you mind doing one?" He's like, "Wait, like you want to do it with me?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, man, let's do this," So I love watching the careers blossom like that, and I just think it's absolutely amazing. So seeing you going here and going, we're gonna get into that. Big League Monty, you become Big League Monty, if you will. That has been an absolute pleasure. We're definitely into that. But before we get into that,
okay,
one vital question, because it's been kind of sitting there since you said something earlier about Ty Shine's broken ass.
That's broken ass, yeah.
Now, you were going to be his manager, but he broke his ass, okay?
Yeah.
Now, you did dip your toe in the managerial part of it, but you started training more for a referee. Do you think if Ty Shine didn't break his ass, and I love saying that, I don't know why, do you think that you would have continued being a manager and maybe becoming more of an in-ring personality than a referee in that career part of wrestling? Do you think it would have went into that direction? Because I think Ty Shine's broken ass turned your wrestling career into something you never expected.
Yeah, I guess so. I think I gotta think. I think he did something to the glute when he gave Sammy a backbreaker or something at I think a Friday Night Alley Fight show.
Yeah.
I think I think I would have probably still refed, but it probably would have taken a longer time to get there, because even when Ty was gone and I wanted to manage and they gave me like an opportunity to manage one practice match, Slick still pushed me to be a ref. I don't really know if that was on purpose. I'm thinking probably so, because it ended up like being because he really wanted me to wrestle. I don't really think he wanted me. He didn't really picture me being a ref. But when he kept asking me to do these practice matches and I started to get more appreciation for it and wanted to do more, he was starting to become like more sold on the idea. But I think he also just needed someone to just to do like practice matches as a ref who was not going to be like training as a wrestler. So I think it would have ended up the same way, but this was obviously better because I took more time to doing that. But yeah, who knows? Multiple universes, multiple paths of life. I don't know. Maybe there's a manager version of me floating around. And I came up with like a lot of ideas for characters too. Like I did try taking it very seriously and stuff like that. So, maybe like I guess, but I think probably not though. I think it probably would have ended up like this.
That's fair because when you were talking about when he tore his glute, I'm like, I wonder if she would have stayed in that direction, you know, as because she was a manager, and you never know where that goes. Some want to pursue that avenue. So I mean, you never know where it could have taken you either way. So hey, we're so glad to see Ref Gina though. I mean, because Gina, we love seeing you come out. That's awesome. I did have before we get into there's a little questionnaire part. If you
Okay. Yeah, sure. Here
but,
we go.
I just had El Ref on not that long ago,
Oh
and
yeah, he's great.
he's a
Kind of a
handful.
pain in the ass, but yeah.
He's a handful.
I just wanted to say one story about him before we move on. The last PPW show that we did, which was like the 2-day thing, John was also there, I believe, and they had their custom like baseball jerseys. So it went like 1, 2, and 3, and I was like, how come I don't get one? And Miguel goes, oh yeah, you're one half. So that's you know, I know like people give me a lot of shit for being short, which is sometimes okay and sometimes like, you know, you're kind of pissing me off right now. But I think I would have actually worn it if you did get me one of those. So who knows? Maybe in the future when I come back,
It gets stale sometimes. All
it
depending
does, yeah.
who it's coming from and how often and
Yeah, but
such.
with him, it never gets old. I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know if you notice about me, but I'm built like a candle, so I get a lot of skinny, you know. So
Feel like a candle. I never heard that one. That's great. I like it. All
that's
right,
kind of
what's your first question? Is it the big league thing?
it actually it comes from one fan questions. I don't get much because I just kind of try to do this thing, the free flow gig. But there was fan questions that came on my last post for Ref Gina, and the first fan that came in is one Pass Shine. I thought it
Yeah,
was
it's a fan. Yeah. All right.
uh, ask her about Big League Monty.
Okay. So that started because he came to practice once, and from what I remember at the time, my schedule was I was able to do a full class on like Wednesday or something, but I could only do like one half class on either Tuesday or Thursday. Something like that because it had Kung Fu. So I got there late and they were going over the match. So Ty was in there and he was talking to somebody, and one of the rules is when you come in you say hi to everybody. I didn't want to interrupt what he was doing because if he was calling something I didn't want him to forget stuff, so I was going around saying hi to every person. And I got caught up talking to one like I think it was like Slick or some other person, and then he turned around, he's like, oh, so you think just because you work for Shikara and beyond like you could big league me or something? And then ever since then it's been like a problem. I have an additional DQ story if you want to hear that too, but we could do it after the questions if you want. Oh, you want to hear it now? Okay, so
Yeah, bring it up.
this was a while ago, like last year. It's another Thai one during practice. We
No.
were doing this one practice match, and he was going to be the heel or the villain in the story. So he told me that, okay, for the end of this match is like I'm going to do this dirty thing, you know, just don't look what happens or something. And I was like, okay, whatever. So we get in there and he's wrestling against this one guy and his shoe falls off in the middle of the match. So Ty picks up his shoe and in his head, he's thinking, what a great opportunity to throw this at her. She fumbles with it and then I'll low blow the guy and then go into the end of the match. So he's thinking that in his head. He chucks it at me and he goes, hey, ref, catch. I swat it away and stare at him, watch him low blow the guy, and then just call for the bell and disqualified him. He was so mad about that. Like the rest of the night, he goes, Cheetah, that could have been the greatest impromptu thing that I've ever improvised in my life. But instead of fumbling with the shoe, you were like, Slick was like, you know, that laugh that he has, it's just so infectious. He was dying. I've never seen him laugh that hard in his life. He was like, this riff like knows everything. Like she's seen everything. It's like, you're not going to fool me. And they're just like staring. That's like one of the funniest things that happened ever at practice.
These are the
And it
stuff.
always happens when Ty is here. I love especially like one more thing. Sorry, just when we get on about Ty, like it's just he has so many funny things. So what he used to do is like anytime someone would put the John Cena song on, he'd run outside the hall, slide into the ring, and whoever was in the ring was going to take the Cena comeback.
Yeah.
And I remember Hippie did it once, and it was like a terrifying experience for him because I don't think he knew. I do miss being around that guy. Like we become really close throughout the years. I'm glad that he's doing his part in the community, but still DDTing a child is unforgivable.
That was very offensive for all of us to even witness. I can't even imagine for the
Oh
child.
yeah, I was watching in the back because we had the playback, and when he did it, I was just like, "Oh my god,
Yeah,
holy
yeah,
crap!" Like that
yeah.
was yeah, no
I
whatever.
just I have actually witnessed that Cena comeback at TOS
Oh
too.
good, did you? Yeah, he
That,
loved doing that. That was like his thing, and he did it
uh,
really well too.
so much fun. Really, so much fun. Shh, don't. He's not that much fun. He's not. Uh, so we go down to uh, Nick Delta. I know
Oh hell yeah, Nick
you
Delta.
know one Nick Delta. I followed me some Nick Delta before he was even Nick
Yeah,
Delta.
is he still King of Paradise? I think he is.
I don't know what the hell's going on with all of that because you
Yeah,
got Amy Adam mousing off over there talking
yeah,
he's king, but we don't listen to Danny Adam when he speaks of stuff like that. So
yeah, I believe so. But yeah, Nick Delta, he's great.
Nick
Good
Delta came
guy.
nice. It says now I'm very curious because I kind of knew what the big league kind of thing was about. Ask her about the Brad puns. What's that?
Okay, so I won't say who it is because it will like it's like kind of like a kayfabe thing, but there's
Okay.
this one guy who was at a Blitzkrieg show and Dick, sorry, I'm sorry, Nick, I didn't mean to call you that. Nick was that's just how I slur, I promise, unless if like you are kind of like a little bit of a dick, all right, but he has a good sense of humor, don't worry about it. So Nick was around for that show, and there's this one guy who just like tells really terrible jokes, and that was like the thing that he loved to do when I was there because I just grown and be upset about it because I don't like bad jokes with puns and things. So he's trying to like tell me this joke or whatever, and then later on I asked him what his real name was. He goes, "Oh, my name is actually Brad." I was like, "What? Like your name is Brad?" Like there's just so many weird real names that people have. When you look at them, they don't look like a Brad or like a Larry or something, and you're like, so Nick was there and he thought that my reaction to that was really funny. And then throughout the whole match, he kept saying, "His name is Brad," and like trying to make me laugh. So yeah, that's like a story that that and tequila will sing like the tequila song to each other a lot.
Oh,
I don't really know how that came up about, but yeah, I have like a lot of like inside stuff with people, and that's a
oh,
funny thing about wrestling. I think that's probably the best part about being in a locker room.
yeah. They do say, not they, but the boys and girls in the back, they say that we strive for in ring performance. We want to make ourselves present to be professional, athletic, and make it look good for the fans and ourselves.
Mm.
But that camaraderie in the back and the fun that's happening and such, they say that that's probably more enjoyable than really almost any part of wrestling. Like it's some of the best times.
Yeah,
It's
sometimes it's better than the matches. So, you
yeah.
know, yeah, that's the thing that I miss a lot about, being down here is I don't really get to have that experience. I went to one show in Daytona in which I didn't know anybody in that locker room, and it was very weird because during my experience of being even in like a very new locker room, there's always like one or two people who I knew there, and it would be like pretty welcoming and stuff. But that was kind of like a weird locker room where people were super separated out. You didn't really get to know the people super well. But as the night went on, I did get to at least meet a few people in the area, so that was pretty cool.
Uh, one Ms. Rosalie, the makeup queen. and the spectacular JC.
Yep.
Have you run into them? Because they're down in Florida.
I think they're in South Florida though. I'm more like mid, like I don't know, like middle of Florida, which is like around Orlando and Tampa.
Because
Because
I
I
mean,
think that they've done stuff in Miami or something like that, and like a lot of wrestling is down in South Florida,
okay,
understandably because the performance center is here.
right.
So yeah.
Uh, they were working over at the Gangrel Wrestling Asylum,
Yeah, that's down in South Florida. Yeah.
having some fun times over there.
Yeah, it's a good school from what I hear. I know that Alex Chamberlain also would teach there or be
Yep,
around there sometimes, and he's another good person to learn from.
and they have these free Facebook shows where they have student showcases, and they do them free
Oh,
on
cool.
yeah, free on
Yeah, that's nice.
so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There was also, some chanting for Ref Gina from a fan, Chris, a fan, Ref friend Eric, Ref Gina, go Ref
Friend
Gina,
Eric,
uh,
friend Chris.
El Ref with the. You already know what El Ref put, right?
Yeah, you don't have to.
No, no, we
We
won't
don't,
even.
we don't need to go over that again.
No, we're gonna no sell
Every
that.
day, yeah.
We'll no sell that.
I know.
To the last one, which comes back to a promo that you mentioned. We did little twin magic with Ref Gina at a
Yeah,
show. Man, was that some good times? And
right.
this goes back to that said promo. Uh,
Okay.
Laura C. She says, ask her how her. Oh
My
crap!
triglycerides are, yeah,
Hold on.
no problem.
I have a. I don't know. I don't know why I would have somebody calling it and on my ref.
Yeah, they probably wanted to know about my triglycerides. Actually, they've been pretty good lately. So I was successfully able to bring those down.
Oh,
So yeah, that ended up being a good story. The promo itself was like, oh man, we had so many fun ideas for those if they were still teaming. Like that was the first one was I go up to him and just like tell a very long-winded story, then he would tag out. We had one idea where I would bring some cooking in and it'd be terrible, and then he'd tag out and have Omar eat it. Stuff like that. Because he wanted me to manage them for like one show or something that would be outside of TOS. So yeah, they did some really fun things. I mean, it's kind of a shame that it didn't really last very long because it felt like they were really starting to pick up steam. And what are the coincidence that like you look that similar to someone? That's wild.
it is.
If you ever see him, you got to ask him the story about how they knew each other because I think it's kind of dumb, but like it's still really funny to me.
I'll definitely have to. I'll definitely. I'm getting these messages. I apologize.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. Staring weird at the screen. That's all I'm seeing, so it's all right.
Yeah. Well, that definitely finished our questionnaire portion of the program. I thank you for sitting through the fan because I don't usually do that, so it's a little different for me to kind of to kind of throw that in there.
Oh, that's cool. Answering questions is fun.
Yeah, we had some fine questions. Now, what the holy bleep? Uh, I keep getting called on. I apologize.
Okay.
I apologize. Let me get back here. There we go.
Well, moving forward, it's all good.
Now, we do. I see there's companies, promotions that are moving forward, even though we have a bit of an uptick. There are companies that are doing some shows continually,
Yep.
but looking more forward to the springtime and further. Some of them are outdoors. I'm going to say most of them, for the most part, once the weather changes, will be outdoors. But man, I cannot wait to get back, Ref Gina, because this winter is going to really stink the whole winter without any wrestling, really.
Yeah. Right.
We have TOS and we have some other companies that are coming out. Do you have any new companies that you're going to be working for in your area that you have your eyes set on that we may not know or we may never have heard of before? Or
So my next show is actually going to be in February, but it's going to be in Jersey. GSW is going to be running. I don't know. I feel bad like promoting them without knowing too much because they're like very, very, very new. The only thing I know is that Richard Holiday is also going to be on that show, and Masha Slamovich, I think, was like doing something. But I don't even know if I was supposed to say that or not, to be honest with you. But in any case, yeah, I know that they had like a taping or something that was going to be coming up. I'm not doing that one, but I'm going to be doing the live show. And from what I understand, they're going to really try to bring in a lot of names. Then after that, I'm not going to like work the ICW show, but the week after that, I'll be in attendance for that one. Just because like, I don't know, they're just so much fun to go to. Then in March, it's another Camp Leapfrog thing. Hopefully, if things go according to plan, because I don't think everything's totally scheduled out yet. So those are kind of like my only things that have been going on because it's been very sparse. I know that WrestleMania is going to be held in Tampa this year, so I'm going to try the best I can to work any promotions coming down for that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a little bit more menial these days. Even when I was back up north, I was still only working like shows every now and then. So yeah, I know I got the call to try to go to the Chaotic taping, which I would have loved to do because I used to watch Chaotic like so much back in the day, and it would have been nice to be a part of that. But yeah, I guess we'll just have to see what the future holds. But I'm not too worried about like the limited bookings because I was able to get more opportunities to do other things. But I would say, if anything, the Cassandro Cup is the next thing to watch. It's on IWTV in March. You'll have to look on Butch and Gore in order to get the date that they're officially premiering. And then Camp Love Frog is coming up on the 14th. So that's probably like my earliest thing that's going to be coming up that you can watch me in. Okay. So yeah, that's all I got for you.
Besides the super classified project, you can't talk to us. You can whisper it right here.
Yeah, sure. Look for the announcement.
Is there anything else that we haven't touched upon that Ref Gina has been, because it's been a while again, that we haven't touched upon that Ref Gina has been dipped her toes into, or different projects that we haven't, or different companies that you've actually been part of tapings that maybe you can talk about, or anything else that you've been part of?
That's all I had so far, honestly. And I know that going into the winter is definitely going to be lean all around. But I just want to let people know, especially in the local areas of Connecticut and Massachusetts, that I miss you all. I don't really know like what the future holds for me in terms of where I'm going to live, but I'm adjusting down here, okay, moving forward with my life in different ways with my career. But wrestling has definitely been going pretty well for me, and I haven't left wrestling. I know a lot of people were thinking like, oh, are you like gone? I remember when I was at GCW, GoPro was there like, oh, we thought like you took a break or something. Like, nope, I just like moved. So, and it was a significant enough move where I wasn't sure, but yeah, I would love to get onto other things. New South I think is like really interesting to possibly work for in the future as I'm getting settled here. So we'll see what happens. But now that I'm like in a new location's opened up like a whole new world of other things that I could be doing. So. We're really looking up. I promise that I'm making progress.
Well, we love visiting Ref Gina. It's been a while, and I know you did relocate, and we wish you the absolute best and anything that you got going on there. Maybe wrestling, the wrestling part of your life, the personal part of your life, no matter what it is, we wish you the best of luck, Ref Gina.
Oh, thank you very much. And I really appreciate you having time to talk to me. It was nice to see a familiar face.
Oh man, again, we had to reschedule, so I was really looking forward today. Work went by so. Today was a long ass day. I've been looking forward to this for a while now. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with Ref Gina, boys and girls. Some of these companies, check them out. Some of the talent she's mentioned, check them out. Look them up on the face page, the YouTube and such, because there's a lot of content out there, and we fans, there's a lack of some of it coming out. But Camp Leapfrog, they put out content. Go check it out on the face page or whatever they've got going on. Check out this stuff and some of the other promotions, because if you don't know it, at least you get to know some new stuff, some new faces, some new promotions in different areas. I love Test of Strength, but I go to other promotions, because I like to see different faces and such, and the different vibes and environments. Like Camp Leapfrog, you'll never see anything like that compared to anybody else. So if you don't go there, you'll never see it.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, if you want to watch some more Leapfrog stuff, again, you could go to facebook.com/independent wrestling. The profile picture will have Warhorse with the title. And we have 2 live events that are uploaded to it. You could also look it up on the Camp Leapfrog Facebook. So the last one was the Retro Frog, which was 9/17/1985, and then Sam Latern's Sleepover. But if you want to watch our other events like the first Leapfrog, things that go bump in the ring, and Christmas Trios, that's on IWTV. And you could use promo code Leapfrog for a 5-day trial.
Well, again, look it up, boys and girls. There's some free stuff right from Ref Gina to us, the fans. That's beautiful. Ref Gina, I cannot thank you for spending the time with us, the fans, opening up, being honest, telling some fun stories. I love those stories.
All about Ty Shine.
Ty Shine, I know. He's going to love that. I think he's going to clip it. I bet you he clips it, right?
Yeah. Right.
You've been, we love Ref Gina. You've been adorable through this entire. Wow, you've stomached me for an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was trying to go shorter than the last long-winded one that I did, but I think we ended up having a lot to catch up on, so hopefully this is a little bit better.
This is Stirring the Pot with Donkey Kate. I almost lost my train of thought because I don't want to let you go. This is Stirring the Pot with Donkey Kate and my very special guest, Blue Shoe. She's yawning on me.
Sorry. I'm not bored. It's just
no, that's
lack of oxygen. I was so much talking.
Blue Shoes Ref Gina, an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Bye.